John Johnson of RJ's Farm Horsemanship Communication. Years ago, back in 2009, 2010, I did a blog post on what I call the alphabets of communication. And what I did was I took the most important aspects, or what I believe to be the most important aspects. I might have missed some, but I do believe it went rather well, because the most important aspects lead to something. And so what I did was I took the vowels, because you can't make a word without the vowels, right? A, E, I, O, U, and Y. Sometimes Y, sometimes why not. And so I took the vowels and I put terms that lead to understanding to the vowels so that people can remember. And it works out, in my opinion, it works out that we start with A, and it is the most important, and it leads to E and I and O and U, and then the Y and why not is at the end, right where it belongs. Again, this is my opinion, but I do believe. So if we take A, right, and we have attention and awareness, one might say awareness is a lighter side of attention. But in order to have a conversation with anybody, you have to have their attention. But also, it's really good to be aware of how that person's feeling, how they're receiving your input. Be aware of how you feel about the things they say and do. That is huge in communication. And a lot of people, I think, forget that. They say what they need to say because they need to say it, and it's on their mind. And whether they don't care or they just don't realize they're being a jerk, they don't take it into consideration. And for me, it's super important, especially when I'm having a conversation with a horse, because if they don't feel heard, they're not gonna be as receptive to the things you have to say. And so I find that a conversation with a horse, I can speak and the horse can speak at the same time, and we're not talking over each other. It's an endless conversation that works together. In a conversation with a person, two people speaking verbally, it makes a mess of things. But when you're having a conversation with a horse, you're doing it through an energetic exchange, body language, movement, audible noises. Sometimes we do say things like walk, trot, canter, stop, back, whoa, stand. They can learn words, definitely, but it's real simple and easy. And without attention and awareness, you don't have anything. So it all starts there, right? And so there's A. E, I put the term evaluate. We want to evaluate everything about the moment. We want to evaluate our presence. We want to evaluate the horse's presence. And that kind of, you can't do it without having an awareness. So evaluation kind of comes directly after being aware. If you're not aware, you won't make a proper evaluation. We need to evaluate ourselves and we need to evaluate the horse. I think if you do a really good job in your evaluation without holding to, this is exactly what it is. You evaluate with the idea of it might be this, and then you try something, you ask something, then you evaluate again after you get your answer. And you'll get your answer through the response. And if you're paying attention and you're aware of the emotions and the restrictions and anything that's going on, then you'll be a little bit better at your evaluation. Okay, so we covered A and E. I is for intention. We have an intention. The horse has an intention. Sometimes things are done and we misunderstand the intention. So it's important to go back to the beginning again and come up to the intention. Pay attention, have an awareness, do a proper evaluation, and then the intention will clarify itself. So we'll better understand the intention. Okay? We don't want to go into anything with an intention that is one-sided. Yes, we may say, okay, this is what I want to accomplish today. But go back. Make sure you have the horse's attention, you're paying attention, you have an awareness, you're aware of what the horse is being aware of, you're evaluating properly. Your intention should not overpower what you have in the current situation. So bring your A up to your I, and that will help you not have unrealistic intentions. So yes, it's good to have a goal and show your intention, and your intention must be clear. But at the same time, we have to know, can we follow through with that intention without causing too much abrasiveness to the horse? Or, does the horse have a different intention that's being very abrasive to us, and we have to maybe change a little bit to help him out first, or her? And then we can kind of move on and clarify after we, meet in the middle a little bit. So, and then we have O. And O, I used a word that really means timing. So, opportune, right? Not just opportunity, which we want to make sure we don't miss any, but opportune, the opportune moment in which we need to act, respond, or back off. That is so important. The timing of your request. If you ask for something when they're not ready to do it, it's not going to be as desirable as if you wait and you recognize that they are ready. And again, that goes right back to the beginning. If we're paying attention, our awareness is good, we evaluate properly, we have clear intentions, and we do everything, or we will do everything at the opportune moment. We'll do it when we're supposed to do it. Because you can do the right thing at the wrong time, and it'll just mess everything up. So, opportune, timing. And again, right from the beginning, A through O, right? And what does this all lead to as we go through, right? Having our attention, being aware, evaluating, having an intention that's clear, doing everything at the best possible time, the opportune moment. It all leads to understanding. And that's what you is for, understanding. And that's the goal, communication, understanding. So that's why I say, in my opinion, this all follows a perfect path from start to finish, but it's reciprocal. It goes and it goes, and we can reach new understandings and better understandings and just grow. Without it, we might get lucky, We might get some good stuff, but it won't be the best stuff. And so if you consciously pay attention to all of that in the beginning, it'll lead to better understanding. And so when we talk about our written language, we say our vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. And so Y, and it fits towards the end really well, because in my opinion, again, the why is not as important, especially in the moment. If you have an issue and you want to know why it all happened, it's good to figure that out. But in the moment, the why isn't all that important. Best example I could give is if you're going on a hike and you're walking this trail, and trail comes to a stream, water's passing by. Are you going to stop and try to figure out why that water's there? No. You're going to find a way across that stream so you can continue on the path you're on. When you finally get to your resting site, you may sit and have your drink of water and then, look off and wonder, and then maybe you'll see that all the runoff ran down, and that's why that stream is there. That's fine. But in the moment, all that matters is crossing that stream, right? And so when we're working with a horse and I ask him to move over and he starts backing up, I'm not going to waste any time on thinking, why is he backing up? Why is he backing up? I'm going to reiterate that I need him to move over there. And so I'm just going to continually ask, as polite as possible, raise my energy to match any emotion or resistance that he may bring upon. And then the moment he tries something, I'll pause. And in that pause, if I want to think about the why, that's fine. But in the moment, I'm asking for this, he's doing this. So to communicate and to clarify and meet in the middle, we work to a point in which we understand each other. There's time for figuring out the why later. So if you just transition your energy into a clear intention, right? By paying attention, being aware, evaluating, your intention will be clear. And if you do things at the opportune moment, you'll get a decent result through understanding. He won't understand if you stop and say, oh, why did you do that? Oh, well, why did you do that? Because now a whole lot of time's going by, and maybe because they learned from the release of pressure, when you asked and he said, I'm going to back up, and you backed off to think about why is he backing up, you may have programmed a response in his mind to back up whenever you do whatever your cue was to go over there, right? And so to stop and think about the why in the moment is counterproductive. It doesn't help. It actually gets in the way and makes a mess of things. So, and again, this is my opinion, things that I've learned in, my practice and my experience. The why in the moment is usually the least important thing. It's important, but not something that we want to put all our energy towards in a moment, especially in a moment of conflict. We need to get through the conflict, then think about the why later. Hope that makes sense. And so I always like to say, why and why not, right? Because you want to answer that question. If this is something you want to do, why do you want to do it? But also, even though you like it and you want to do it, you should still, And again, not in the moment, but if it's something you like and it's something you want to do and it's something, you should also think about why you might not want to do it. You know, a topic that comes up an awful lot, two primary topics that come up all the time in conversation when it comes to horses is, should I hand feed treats? Should I use treats during training? And another one is about lunging. A lot of people will lunge a horse in order to get the energy out before they go on a ride, right? And so, and I use those two because those are the two items that, you know, sure, you can motivate a horse through treats. It's a good thing, but there are consequences. Sure, lunging a horse is great exercise. Every horse should know how to lunge. I use lunging. But there are consequences to lunging the anxious horse. In fact, lunging an anxious horse could lead to more of the behavior you're trying to fix with the lunging. And the best example I can give for that is each and every one of my guys, I use lunging to get more out of them. I don't lunge them to quiet them down or use up energy, because their energy is stored in understanding. So they have a really good understanding of whatever I'm going to ask, so therefore they're always calm and quiet with plenty of energy to spare. But sometimes they might be a little sluggish and weak, or sluggish and tired, not really giving me good energetic responses. That's when I'll put them in a lunging circle and say, okay, we got to get some blood moving, we got to get the heart rate up, we got to get some breathing going, and really stoke that furnace, right? Obviously, I'll lunge a horse even if they're not pokey or whatever. If I plan on doing any performance work, I'll probably lunge them for a good 5 or 10 minutes, get them good and warmed up so that I can go do that extra strenuous energy without hurting their joints or something, and have them ready and able to respond when necessary. So those are a few reasons, you know, why I lunge. But I also sometimes just use lunging to get a better understanding of, you know, follow my energy, walk over there. All right, let's pick up a trot, come back to a walk, turn and face me, change directions, you know, pick up the canter, whatever, canter at this speed, canter faster, canter slower, back to a trot, now to a walk, whatever, stop. Combinations are endless, transitions, work your way through them, make sure the horse understands. Through understanding, they will become calm and quiet, and there'll be no need to lunge. My point, the why and the why not. You know, there are consequences to everything. So, and there are people who will tell you never, ever, ever hand feed a treat or hand feed to a horse. Never, 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 never do that. And you have the others that say, well, you shouldn't have your horse do anything for a treat. You know, and I'm sorry, I sit right in the middle on that. I'm not typically one to give treats during training, but I have no problems giving treats by hand. And sometimes I'll come out and I'll hang out in the pen and I'm giving treats, and while I'm giving treats, we do a training session, so that I'm not just giving a treat for nothing. I'll ask them to do a couple things and then give them the treat. I guess, you know, it's a reward for compliance, and I see a lot of benefit in it. Where it becomes a problem is for those who don't recognize the consequences of creating a cookie monster, because that can happen. As long as you're aware of that possible consequence, then you can take steps to avoid it, right? And so now that's why I say the why and the why not. This is something I want to do. This is why I want to do it. Why maybe why would I not want to do it? And then you look at the why nots. And if you say, well, I can handle these why nots. Like, I keep my horses from being a pest for treats by presenting it to them and waiting for them to just look at me, and then I'll put the treat to their mouth. Right? So as long as you know how to overcome the consequence, then the consequence becomes a benefit. Right? So you convert that. So the why and the why not is an important aspect. Again, not in the moment. You don't want to spend too much time in the moment when you're doing things, trying to think about stuff like that. Think about it, put your plan together, have it, and then you can set yourself up in a way that, you practice it in such a way that if it shows up in the moment, you don't have to think about it. You've already created a habitual response to deal with it automatically, right? And so, example, if I'm with a horse that is a treat monster and they start nuzzling me and I ask them to leave me alone, but yet they come back and they're nuzzling me, my habitual response is to turn, get that front end moving. We start doing turns on the haunches until when they're this close, they end up being this far away, right? And if they keep coming back, well, the next time we do it, I make sure that they're this far away. And if they keep doing it, then the next time I make sure they're a little bit further away, just so that there is an understandable consequence. And I do that habitually, so I don't even have to think about it. And the why, I understand the why. They want the treat. I understand that. I'm not going to concern myself about the why. I'm going to concern myself with the behavior that we require from them. And you don't do it in a mean way. You don't do it. You just do it in a way that you're saying that's unacceptable. But instead of just saying no, you say do this. And then the do this takes the place of what they wanted to do. So we take that bad habit and convert it into an understandable request. We make a request, they understand it, and they respond to it. So whenever it happens, that gentle movement, oh, okay, I'm sorry, right? So anyways, that's the gist of this video here. The alphabets of communication, the importance of it. And you can take it a whole lot further than I just said. If you take a minute or a few minutes and kind of go into all the possibilities of the meaning of attention and awareness, and how many different ways you can apply that, put that on yourself to learn that, right? Again, not in the moment. Do it on your own, in some downtime, right? Evaluation. I know you know the word. Everybody knows the word. Do a deep dive on it and really think about what an evaluation entails. What might you be looking for? I do free evaluations all the time, and I go out and see people, and they always ask, what's involved in an evaluation. They know what the word means, but they don't really know what I'm looking for when I go out and visit. And what I'm looking for is everything that leads me to understand the horse's thought process, any place they're holding resistance, and what kind of emotions are attached to their responses. So when they respond to any form of energy, what emotion is attached to that response? And there's a whole lot more, but those are the most important pieces. And so when I'm evaluating, I'm also evaluating what direction am I going. I got this response, you know, was I pushing on the face or was I pushing on the hip? You know, or what happens if, so I come in and I clearly know that I was pushing right on the middle of the rib cage and I wanted a nice bend in my direction. I clearly know what I wanted, but I got a different response. So by evaluating the response I got, the resistance behind it, then that'll lead me to understand the emotion behind the response. And so knowing that will allow me to make better choices, right? So if I evaluate what I got, then I can understand better how to make a change for the better. Like, if I've got a horse that is nervous and scared and constantly evading, my counter to that is going to be more draw energy to kind of make them feel a little more comfortable. Give them a little more room, put a little bit of energy that says, I'd like for you to get a little closer. You don't have to shy away. And if I've got one that's constantly leaning in on me, that is overconfident, then I'm going to put a little more push energy and say, please give me a little more space. Now, if I have a very fearful horse that's kind of crowding me, then that's a little different, because if I overdo my energy, then I'm going to get either more of what I don't want, which is the crowding and the oh my god, and they kind of, you're the protection, they get really secure with being around people, or they're really afraid and they're like, well, I can't be here, then they're going to jump way to the outside, or they're going to do something really silly like knock you over to get away, to really push through that energy, because they're already coming and leaning on that energy. More energy might make them lean more and knock you over. So understanding the emotion behind the response, it will help you make better choices, right? So that's some of what I'm looking for in an evaluation. So again, back to studying the words, really understand what evaluation is. Intention, right? Again, the word, but learn everything you can about the term and the action and the idea of, how intentions can sometimes be misunderstood. Take that wherever you can go with it, and really bring that to better understanding, right? And here's our you, right? And again, understanding. We know what understanding is, the word, the definition, right? But sometimes simple knowledge is not understanding, right? How many times have you talked to somebody where you told them something, or you started to say something, yeah, I know, and you know that you have more information for them, but there's no more understanding for that person. I know, right? And so there's always more understanding. And so that one word, you really want to take some time and effort into, figuring out the understanding. How do we get to it? How do we go beyond it? How do we expand it? And really, what is it really? What is understanding, right? Because understanding leads to confidence. Understanding leads to better performance. So what is understanding, and how is it so special? And how can we make it even more than what it is right now for us? So if you at all feel or resonate with what I just spoke of in this topic, I would encourage you to like the video and subscribe. I plan on doing more of these. You may have seen the handsome gentleman in here. Some of you may know that's Stony. I just have him in here just for background. I was kind of hanging out with him and decided I think I want to do a video. And one of my next videos will probably be me applying some of these concepts and principles, and giving you a better idea of where you can take things. I'm not one to show off, so the videos of me doing fancy stuff, unless you've come and you're looking for my help and services, I will show you what I can to help you. But I am not one to do a lot of showing off. I have a hard time with that, and that's one of the reasons why I don't make all that many videos. But I do plan on doing more, because I do believe the information is important, and I think everybody should have access to free information. And so I'm gonna do some, and I will overcome my fear of showing off. Stony does some really special stuff, and the problem with showing it is everybody wants me to teach it to their horse. That's really not how it works. Stony does it for me because he appreciates me. And people come and they want to learn it. Well, can you do it with Stony? If you can't do it with a horse that already knows how to do it, then me teaching your horse isn't going to do you any good. So you have to learn and understand how and why it works. So anyways, enough babbling on. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you get something out of this. Appreciate you staying right to the end.